Disney? Because you were attempting something which nobody in India had attempted.
Yeah, you know my answer. Can I ask a question before I answer? How many of you have seen Brahmāstra? Oh, everybody. Wow, a lot of people have already seen it. Okay, wow. That's awesome. Okay. So Komal sir, to answer your question, I should have been perhaps more nervous, more apprehensive. This should have been my answer. But I think the overall what we were trying to create was so challenging, and I was also so drunk and inspired by the vision that I think some of these moments, the first time I met Karan with the story and he said, yes, let's move ahead with it. When we went and met the Disney team, I don't particularly remember being like more nervous or anything. You know, every single day on this journey has just been a bit like that. You know, every day has kind of been such a big obstacle that, yeah, this was one other obstacle. And eventually, like, you know, I guess the truth is that it wasn't as simple as Karan or even Disney saying yes in just one go. There were just obstacles and obstacles on a daily basis for years. You know, I feel even as we've put the film out, even now we have obstacles that we have to overcome to truly build part 2 and part 3 and the Astraverse. So that became second nature to this entire process.
You know, Karan has always been telling me, and he has been saying this in his interviews also, this film, a lot of sweat, blood, and tears have gone. And the emphasis, more often than not, is on tears. All these three come in this order. I would like to know from Ayan and Karan, sweat, blood, one understands. Tears, what is this tears story?
I mean, I don't know a single person besides Ranbir, and happy birthday Ranbir, besides Ranbir, who on the major A team of the film that stood, that perhaps hasn't shed a few tears right through, sometimes out of exhaustion, sometimes out of stress, sometimes out of inability in the moment to combat the situation, sometimes out of just fatigue. I mean, you know, it's like, there is so many reasons. I know Ayan has been emotionally vulnerable at so many junctures. I've seen it because to him, I've always been like a protective parent. So every time I see him go through those beats, it's very difficult to see a team really weather those storms. And I know at this point the film is out and it all seems beautiful and rosy and we're all so grateful. But really, Komal, this wasn't just, it was really like climbing a cinematic Mount Everest, and right now it's like Ayan is standing on top of that mountain and really, you know, flying the Indian flag with aplomb.
I'm sure like, it is. But Ayan, one incident where you broke down.
Oh, Ayan. One incident where I broke down.
Ayan.
Komal sir, so dramatic. Yeah. What do I say?
I've seen you break down, Ayan.
No, so I'll tell you one of the big challenges we had on the film. So we...
You can't skirt the question, huh? You say whatever you want to say, but you will have to give that incident where you broke down. So,
okay, my interpretation of this word broke down. I'm trying to find an incident that one should latch on to. So, what had happened on the film is that when we entered this journey, hamari industry mein we work a certain way where we think script has happened, you're going to start making the film in 6 months, 7 months. This is par for the course. It's what you expect. So on Brahmāstra, we realized early on that this was not going to be possible. I needed to give 2, maybe 3 years just figuring out how to make this film, and this very prolonged pre-production period. So I had done my best, you know, and I had taken on 2 years. We'd done a lot of research. We'd done a lot of visual effects planning. And I really thought that I was like some young Steven Spielberg, that I've cracked this and we're going to like fly from here. We shot our first schedule, which we started by shooting our climax, which was a very interesting thing that we did. We started the film with the climax. And I remember right after we shot that schedule, after all that pre-production, our VFX budget basically tripled right after we'd shot it. And now the film had begun.
So was that lack of planning or it just...
Sir, I don't think it was lack of planning.
It's the nature of the beast,
I think what it was that for all the partners involved, including the VFX teams at that point of time, it was just very new what we were attempting for Indian film.
So y'all couldn't have planned it?
They didn't know what they would run into. You know, and which is why when a lot of people are now setting off on big VFX, visual effects films, I see that that is something that could happen, you know, that they don't know what to expect. They don't know what's going to, there's no way to plan for it.
Sure.
So, in fact, I remember I called the head of Disney at that time, which was Mr. Uday Shankar, and Karan and all, I don't know if Karan remembers, we all flew down to London, and we had already shot a big portion of the film, and we didn't know if we would now have, how would we raise the rest of the funds to finish it. So those were very challenging days. You know, our little group that was trying to make the film, we also went through a lot of internal stress, but then we came back stronger, we took it on, we took on the budget again, and we kept moving forward. And I feel like stuff like this happened on Brahmāstra every 2-3 months, basically.
Karan, did you cry?
Karan is a pro, yeah, now. Karan is
but Karan is also very emotional, I know that.
But I'll tell you this, I've released so many films, Komal, and it's just been, this particular film, I think, really affected me. So I even remember telling somebody, I said, you know, I'm very open to criticism. I love to hear what is wrong with the film. I'm academic about it. But just for 2-3 days, if you didn't like it, don't tell me. I said, just don't tell me. I'm too fragile and vulnerable. And I don't want to express it because I'm meant to be the senior leader of this pack. So if I show myself, and I remember we had a fan screening. It was on Thursday night, on the 8th night, and we had a fan screening. And the media watched it as well. And there was a couple of messages that were so wonderful to read, and a chat we had with you also that was very heartening. And then there were some messages that came in that were completely extreme, and I just felt like my blood pressure had dropped. You know, I just felt like, oh my God, what if we've gone completely wrong? And this is something I couldn't even share with Ayan or the team. It was just stress, because it was like stress as a parent to the film. You know, like I'm just stressed for all these kids who've given their life for the film. That night I didn't sleep a wink. I literally didn't sleep a wink. It wasn't that I was crying. It's just that I could feel like this is really a big deal. It is a new universe, and there is going to be extreme reactions. But then the film, just like the process, really fought at the box office. It's really quite heartening to see how the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then the Monday may have lessened, then again it was back up on Wednesday, Thursday, then went up on Friday. The second Friday was higher than the Thursday, which is very rare. Then the weekend went up again. Then we had cinema day. That it's just like literally the film was fighting, the audience was rooting. It was like I felt like just the journey, the eventuality was the same. The result was the same.
You know, Ayan, since you are so open to criticism like Karan, and you like to absorb what people are saying, have you tried to analyze how come for this film there was so much of negative reviews? Ultimately, the box office counts, but you know, in those initial days, reviews do matter.
Sir, I'll be honest, I have not yet absorbed all the negative reviews. So when you say, oh, there was so many negative reviews, my feeling is that it was 50-50. You know, there was not, it's not like we got, like you gave us a very nice review, and there was a lot of support. And my approach to it has been,
I gave you positive reviews because Karan sent me promised me a check.
You know, you'll say these things are a joke, and I'll be trolled for the remaining
It's a joke. It's a joke.
And I'm like, please don't troll me about this now. I'm done with receiving trolls for various other things.
Sorry.
So my approach, sir, has been that I am waiting still for a few more weeks to go, and for Brahmāstra to really completely settle down. It was such a new beast in the jungle, such a new kind of film that, you know, oftentimes when you go to watch a film for the first time, as much as you are commenting on what's in the film, you're also commenting on what is not in the film, what you imagine to be in the film, what the film is missing, instead of just accepting it for what it is. So in general, my attitude is I am very open to criticism. I have heard stuff, you know, that the dialogues didn't really work as well. People weren't 100% convinced by the love story, this, that. So I'm hearing it, but I'm also waiting for enough time for the film to truly settle, to release on streaming, release on satellite, and then to really make sense of all my learning from what people have said, because I don't want to learn the wrong lessons. You know, if I take, like, very honestly, there's a lot of people writing about film, and I'm happy to hear about it, but I don't know if they have a pulse on what is truly working and not working on a film. And I think you can go very wrong when you start over-listening to everything as well. So I'm trying to make sure that the right feedback reaches me so I can learn from that for the future.
Is it possible, I'm just asking you and Karan both, Karan you can also answer, is it possible that you all concentrated very heavily on the visual effects because it was something unique? Indian cinema hadn't seen this kind of visual effects. So on purpose, intentionally, you all concentrated less on the script part and more on the visual appeal part?
So I think maybe it's possible that some of that happened just naturally.
Yes, that's what I mean.
It is possible, but truth be told, we worked very hard on the story and the script as well. And we were constantly working on actually improving the film right till the end. There were sequences that we had in the film which we didn't feel happy with, and we reshot a couple of like, not VFX sequences, but story sequences. No, sir, I think we put our best foot forward on part one. I realized that there are a few departments in which people feel we could have done better, and we will do better.
Karan, you'd like to add?
Also, as I said, people were looking, and much of the, whenever the criticism came, and I think it was looking at it as just a feature film, Brahmāstra. There are 3 films. So a lot of like the bits and pieces of this film that needed to be there that all actually pay rich dividends in part 2. So, and part 3. So there had to be backstories. There had to be, the love story therefore had to be speedened. We were relying on chemistry. So in fact, there's a large section that believes